The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
CrossedFlags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags. I'm Steve West. Matt Nicholson sitting there on the other window over there. As you can tell, we're doing the home game again. Producer John taking care of us ably, and producer Molly will be also in on taking care of us when it comes to getting everything posted where all we need to be. We got a busy show because we didn't do a big show this past weekend. Matt and myself, we were up in Charlotte, North Carolina, making some connections that we hope are going to benefit us here at the Championship Racing Network and at Crossed Flags for the podcast as well. So it was a productive weekend, just to let you know. We don't plan on taking too many of these weekends off here, but we will have a couple coming up. Of course, we got Barber Motorsports Park weekend where I'm going to be up in the PA Tower. Matt and I both plan to be very heavily involved out at Talladega Super Speedway for the weekend in early May. So yeah, there are going to be a couple more weekends coming up. We'll just give you that fair warning, okay? First things first, we're a little bit delayed in doing this. Usually we record it on Tuesdays. We did it on Wednesday. Matt was feeling a little under the weather, so I'll bring up the question of, are you feeling better, Matt?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I got a little bit to go, but I'll be okay.
Okay.
Some
As
issues that flared up that I had to make an emergency trip to the hospital and was in there for a little bit, getting checked out, seeing what was going on, but I'll be okay.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure that our thoughts and our prayers go with you as we progress towards this weekend. And we've got a big show, and I'm talking about a 2-hour-long, fully packed big show to be able to deal with here. So we're going to need you for that. Since we weren't able to give you the race schedule for this week, which actually starts tonight as we record this live, let's go ahead and get you set up here. Wednesday evening, we're going to be setting the front row and the lineup for the Thursday duels. So here's the deal. Front row qualifying is tonight. And like I said, the lineup for the dual races will be set tonight. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1 and MRN Radio. Checking my notes here, starts 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. And then we continue to work our way towards the 2026 edition of the Great American Race. Thursday evening is the America 250 Florida Duel number 1, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's Fox Sports 1 and MRN Radio. Not immediately, probably about, 20 to 30 minutes after that, Matt? They'll kick off America 250 Florida number 2, Duel number 2?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes, give or take. Friday, 2 races amongst the series that we cover on a regular basis, not just the one. You're probably thinking, well, I know the Craftsman Truck Series. Oh, but wait. Formula E is actually in action on Daytona 500 weekend. So it'll start there. Jeddah E-Prix 19-turn edition of the Jeddah Corniche circuit runs alongside the Red Sea. So kind of scenic. Race is going to kick off at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time, somewhere in the United States of America. CBS Sports, maybe, not CBS. It's Friday. So maybe try CBS Sports Network. Good luck. Maybe try Roku channel. Good luck. Again, I've given up on trying to figure them out. Friday evening is when NASCAR's points season gets underway. That's going to be with the Craftsman Truck Series fresh from Florida 250 at Daytona. Fox Sports 1 MRN Radio starts 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. This is a very interesting race that we've got. Not really going to give an overall preview, but if you think about what we've got here, this is the re-debut of the Ram brand. Cowlick coming strong, all 5 of those trucks, including one driven by the guy who has the second most wins at Daytona in the track's history, and that's Tony Stewart, second only to Dale Earnhardt. And he's coming back to kind of help kick everything off. I saw somebody ask online, why in the heck would Tony do this? Why wouldn't Tony do it? Tony knows basically how to drive everything under the sun. Ram picked a guy who, like I said, amongst the men and women who are alive today, has the most wins at Daytona and is second only to the legend Dale Earnhardt for all-time wins amongst all different kinds of races there. And he's a Dodge Mopar guy in the NHRA. This seems like it was dropped into the lap of Stellantis / Dodge / Ram as the perfect match.
When you have Tim Kaniskis call you and ask you about driving it to help launch the program up, pretty sure you do it. Absolutely.
Plus, you've got guys by the names like Cletus McFarland, who's going to be driving tonight. He got cleared just the other day. Not that was really going to be a big question mark. You have Travis Pastrana making his return there. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting start to the season for NASCAR and for the Truck Series. Looking forward to it. As far as the rest of the weekend schedule, Formula E, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Daytona 500 will give you all of that information Saturday morning on the big show starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time on CRN Live on YouTube. So that's the slate that we've got here. We're going to get to some bold predictions coming up here a little bit later on, but let's throw out a mini version of that here real quick. If you have anything, and you may not, but amongst those things that I've got here, front row qualifying tonight, duels tomorrow, Formula E or the Craftsman Truck Series, do you have a bold prediction for just those? Or maybe even more importantly, anything specifically that you're looking at?
In specific to Daytona in particular, or Truck Series overall?
Whichever one sticks out the most to you. Let's put it that way.
I will go right now. I will go something for Daytona. Mm-hmm. Bold prediction wise, Dodge will come out and sweep the podium.
Ooh, okay. I actually wasn't going to go there. What I'm looking at, and it's not so much a prediction. This is what I'm looking at, and it's tonight and tomorrow. And it deals with the front row qualifying tonight, because what we have seen over the past few years is Hendrick Motorsports has dominated this particular situation, and turned around and dominated the race, as it turns out, because we've seen Hendrick Motorsports car sit there in victory lane the past 2 years in a row. My question is can they keep it up? Because they have that, a lot of people call it a new body. It's a modified body for the Camaro. My question is how quickly do they adapt to it, and how good or how well the teams are going to be able to adjust to it. So it's not only tonight, can they park a Hendrick Motorsports car in the front row tonight, but how well are those Chevrolets going to work well together tomorrow in the duels? That's going to be a big tell towards what we're going to be dealing with later on in the season. And of course, that's going to come up later on when we give our bold predictions for the season. And if you've been a long time listener to us, you know that we did this last year, and we've been doing it pretty much every year for many years now. We're going to change it up a little bit this year. Not only are we going to do the top 3 series of NASCAR, we're going to give you a bold prediction for every race series that we cover. Be prepared for that. I've even got one for IROC. I don't know if Matt's got one for that or not. Okay. Let's get into the topics here. Notes. Let's start off with Brad Keselowski. Brad K, as we know, suffered a broken leg back in December on a trip with his family. And he's been in recovery mode. He missed, for example, the clash at Bowman Gray Stadium because he wanted to make sure that he and his team were concentrated on the Daytona 500. And because it was a medical issue, yeah, it's a broken leg, but because it was a medical issue, NASCAR's doctors had to clear him in addition to his own doctors. I don't think we're really all that surprised by the fact that NASCAR's doctors cleared him, are we?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not at all.
My question is this. We were thinking he might be looking at wanting a backup, and that backup would have been Corey LaJoie. Corey LaJoie is attempting to qualify a 4th RFK Racing car. Are you going to get Brad Keselowski out of that car?
Well, it's already been stated that that David Reagan is on standby as a just in case he needs it.
Well, I get that, but I'll put you in the position of Brad Keselowski. You're the resident driver of the show. I'll put you in the position of Brad Keselowski. You get in that car at Daytona. What's it gonna take to get you out of that car?
You're not coming out. When you get in there and get comfortable, you're not coming out.
Yeah. And here's the good news about this. We have seen drivers who have what was the one that somebody told me about not that long ago, or I heard about it? Was it Dale Earnhardt Jr. that qualified with a broken collarbone? I want to say at Watkins Glen.
Dale Earnhardt.
It was Dale Earnhardt. Okay. It wasn't Junior. Think about that for a second here. You've got a broken collarbone. You're driving, okay, and I get it. There's a lot of forearm and hands here, but you're still dealing with some shoulder activity. You're at a broken collarbone. Not at Daytona, at a road course where you are constantly having to turn and shift and turn. If Dale Earnhardt can qualify and race at Watkins Glen with a broken collarbone, surely at Daytona, Brad Keselowski can run with a broken leg.
He can.
He's
walking around with a cane just to keep pressure off the leg, and
I don't blame him
keep
for that.
Everything,
that makes sense, actually.
Try to just keep pressure off of his leg.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll be fine.
Yeah, I have no doubt about it. David Reagan is going to get a nice front row seat to watch Brad Keselowski run 500 miles.
Yep.
Then this one was pretty interesting, actually. Monday, and you brought this to my attention here. Adam Stern sent out a tweet. And yes, I'm still calling it a tweet. I don't care what anybody else wants to call it. X post, X, whatever. It's a tweet. Who cares? Sent out a tweet on Monday, and it raised some eyebrows. And the thing about it is I'm just going to quote this from Adam Stern, and you can see it right there. NASCAR is exploring, quote, a couple of potential new venues for the 2027 schedule and beyond, per Ben Kennedy, who's the guy who's in charge, basically, of coming up with NASCAR's schedule at the top levels. And then for us, as we have noted, we work out at Talladega Superspeedway and have been there and or worked there for many, many years. Also planning a major renovation for Talladega. Let's take this in order, shall we? We know for a fact that San Diego Naval Base is probably a one-year-only proposition. So does it really come as a surprise that NASCAR is once again looking at different options when it comes to different venues to go to?
None.
Okay.
No surprise at all.
Are they going to be crazy enough? And I probably already know the answer to this, and it probably goes against our wishes, but are they going to be crazy enough to continue to want to do the street course thing?
I think it's going to depend on how San Diego goes, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And San Diego's really not a street race, if you ask me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is using streets in and around the base at Coronado.
They're using part of the runway at Coronado.
They're using part of the runway. Yeah, that's true. So I guess that would bring up the other question. Because where else are they going to go? Could they let me phrase this another way. Now that we're past the Olympics, we're past World Cup, we're into 2027, we don't have anything to worry about. We actually don't have to worry about any kind of international competition until 2028 when the Summer Olympics come to Los Angeles, which shouldn't be a problem for NASCAR. When it gets down to it, could NASCAR be looking once again at going international? And I'm not necessarily talking about Mexico City. I'm actually thinking about our friends north of the border, because they keep talking about going back to Canada.
Well, you've actually got now a couple of options in Canada. Actually, you got more than one option in Canada. More than a couple, actually. I mean, you got Markham. You got Montreal.
Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Yep. You got a couple of oval tracks in British Columbia that are pretty decent. You got Trois-Rivières, I think I said that right, that is up above Montreal.
Okay.
There's a couple of options there. But
And
if they are dead set on keeping some form of a street style event in the series, if they're dead set on that, I don't think they're looking international. I think by one race that is on a schedule this year, they're quietly looking at this other place to have a street race, and it would, in my opinion, I think it would go off pretty well, and that's St. Petersburg.
work with IndyCar, do a full weekend. Okay. I
think the truck race is a test bed.
Probably. If there's one course, track, whatever you want to call it out there, that you would love to see NASCAR bring back or go to, and I'm going to put this at the Cup Series level, okay? Which means that there's a couple of options of tracks that Cup Series doesn't go to, but say Xfinity and or Truck Series does. If you can think of one track that you would like to see NASCAR put on the Cup Series schedule, what is it?
I'm gonna take off the Homer hat for this one.
Okay.
Because everybody knows what I would say because of the sheer where the facility is and how it's set up. It would probably be pretty solid to hold a Cup race.
Yeah, Barber Motorsports Park would be strong.
But I would go Road Atlanta.
Interesting choice. There was a part of me that thought when I opened up that window, you might go Rockingham. The one that I would really like to see them revive, a la Chicagoland, is Kentucky.
I think Kentucky could possibly be on its way back because I think with them moving the All-Star race to Dover, I think this is Dover's last hurrah.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. Hadn't really. I
think this is Dover's last hurrah.
Okay. So from there, let's go to the second part, and this, as we note, affects you and I. Major, keyword, major renovations to Talladega. And I'm going to preface this by saying you and I, being at Charlotte Motor Speedway last weekend, I took some time when we had some downtime and just kind of roamed around the Smith Tower. And this is your access to get to basically all the different levels, the TV, the radio, the PA booth level, the executive floors, the conference rooms, the main offices on the top floor. All of that stuff is accessible through the Smith Tower and really is part of the Smith Tower for all intents and purposes. And it's a showcase when you really stop and think about it. From the lobby, where all of the SMI-owned tracks are in an outline on a wall, to the elevators, to the way that everything is just done, it's all just first class. Bruton Smith had a great eye for it. And the thing about it is you and I have gone to Atlanta. We're planning on going to Atlanta Echo Park Speedway. Again, Atlanta is also done very, very nicely. And these are, Atlanta not so much as Charlotte, but these are showcase places. And then you look at what NASCAR did at Daytona. And you look at the things that they installed. They installed escalators to get the people up into the grandstands as opposed to walking up 2,000 flights of stairs to try and walk up into the grandstands. Could NASCAR be looking at a Daytona-like makeover? And we'll get to the bigger question coming up in a minute. I'm talking about the escalators and the concourses and the restrooms. Do we think that's what they're looking at? Or do you think they're looking elsewhere? And if you say elsewhere, that leads me into the next thing.
I actually think they could be looking at both.
Okay.
I actually think they are. The concourse area, the midway area,
Mm-hmm.
It this is not me absolutely throwing the home the what's off my front porch,
Okay.
the home stadium underneath the bus. I'm not doing that, even though this is a completely different subject from what I could do that on.
Mm.
Some of the aspects of the facility do need a little TLC
Sure. I
in
agree.
the concourse, in the midway, some of the parking. It could use a little TLC.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
don't think that it goes to the level of. I don't. I highly doubt that it goes to the level of Daytona. It could push it, but I don't think it goes to that level.
Okay.
I think it's going to be. I could see total revamping and modernizing the suites.
Which could use it.
Yeah, I could see the press box, not our box, the press box now that's over the start finish line. I could see that being modernized because it's nothing. It's really nothing but a trailer on stilts.
Yeah, and you and I were in there for many, many a year, and so was
Yeah,
producer John. We know this. This was
yeah.
effectively a mobile home that was put up on stilts.
It's a trailer on stilts.
Yeah.
Now you can you really don't you really don't you really can't do anything to the new box because the new box is great.
Yeah,
It's
I
perfectly
don't know
fine
whether
like it
they've
is.
got any upgrades that they need to do there. That's the other part of it.
There's really not because they hit the nail on the head when they got that.
And I could say the same mostly for the infield. I say mostly, I'm talking about like Big Bills, the Media Center, Cup Series Garage. Obviously, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series took over the old Cup Series garage. For the most
Yeah.
part, that's really in good shape. The infield probably doesn't need to be messed with much,
The
if any at all.
infield, yeah, the infield doesn't need to be. Yeah, the infield is good,
Okay.
with the exception of bringing my scoring tower back. Okay.
Yeah, talk about something that you and I both really, really want. We've seen some really, really cool scoring towers, and I would love to have another one back at Talladega.
There's a if they could just send a 747 cargo plane out to Fontana and get the Fontana scoring tower, there's perfectly good ones standing out there that's not even being used.
Yeah, we could use that. That'd be good.
I could see. I really could see a total concourse moderniz. I'm gonna call it modernization.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly some aspects of the stands being updated too. I don't know how much you could do to it because I know when Grant was still there, one of his staples was doing the new seating, the
Sure.
wider, bigger seats.
Yes. And it knocked down on the total number of seats, but they are more comfortable because you and I have both sat in the grandstands up there.
It knocks that, and then Grant's the feather in Grant's legacy. Let's word it that way.
Mhm.
Is the infield project with the tunnel in turn 3.
Agreed.
That's his feather for the legacy.
Agreed.
So I'm going to say it's going to be the outer perimeter of the outer perimeter of the track, and little I'm just going to say it this way: little birdies that I know that work within power company industries have quietly chirped that there's a possibility of some power grid enhancements on this side of the state.
So that brings us to the other aspect, because it doesn't matter what social media platform you might be on. Anybody who is talking about that comment of major renovations to Talladega has said, could lights be on a la Daytona? And we have always heard, going all the way back to my first year there in 2007, you've been there longer, we've talked to the Grant Lynches, we've talked to the Brian Crichtons, we've talked to the Russell Branhams, we've talked to fill in the blank, who is a high-ranking executive at Talladega Superspeedway. And they've all said that if it were going to happen, it would have to start with a major infrastructure upgrade. Read the power grid. So that is a telling factor that you just mentioned right there.
Because where the track sits, in northern Talladega County, right off of Interstate 20, it sits in for a lot of people that really don't know, though anybody that doesn't know, it sits in a part of the county that has a little notch where it goes up. So right there in that area, that power grid really feeds off of three plus counties: Talladega County, St. Clair County, and Calhoun County. Okay. The gentleman I'm close friends with, that I had a conversation with, and he was telling me, he said there's been conversations had before about what it would do to the power grid if there were not enhancements.
Well, let's just be polite and call it a strain.
He said basically picture a part of the state to where you're going from the Georgia-Alabama state line, and this is east to west on I-20.
Right.
The Georgia-Alabama state line all the way over to almost St. Clair County, Jefferson County line, which is exit 144.
Yeah, I was about to say almost to the Buc-ee's Bass Pro Shops exit.
That's another 25 miles west.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, it's 25-ish, 30 plus miles to the Georgia state line. He said from a north and south perimeter, he said basically a range from Etowah County, where Gadsden is, all the way down to Coosa County, Elmore County line.
And that's
perimeter.
That's a big distance too.
He said with the infrastructure of places that are like Jordan Hare Stadium, Bryant Denny, Protective Stadium, places like that, he said you got lighting for the stadium that is probably a fourth of what the lighting would be there.
Right.
Which I get. But thinking about it, one, I don't think it would totally kill the nightlife of the infield, because if there was a race on Saturday afternoon and the race finishes at 9 or 9:30, you and I both know that the infield really is cranking up about that time.
That's true.
So
the concert had started a little late, but yeah.
I don't think it would play in too big of a factor into that. Now, the lighting that they currently have on the front stretch on the stands that they light up at night, you and I both know those lights are a lot brighter than what people think.
They are.
They illuminate that front stretch really, really, really well.
They do.
So I honestly don't think that it would take all that much front stretch lighting. I don't think it would take that much.
I think it would need to be supplemented.
It'd be supplemented, yes.
Yeah.
And the bulk of it's going to come in from is just going to come around from the entry to turn 1, around the back to the exit of turn 4 with poles. And then you got to go all the way around the inside perimeter of the track with the interior lighting that goes back up onto the track.
Right. And that can't be direct lighting because you don't want to blind the drivers. So it goes back to kind of what you see at Daytona, where they're using mirrors to a certain extent because everything's angled to make sure that the lights don't shine directly into the driver's eyes. He said that
if it got announced to be done that lights were coming, and he said they immediately started within 1 week of the announcement, he said you're looking at about a 1-year project.
That's not surprising.
He said because of having to shoot, he's having to set. He called them the power boxes, having to set them outside the track that would generate the power to go into the track for the lighting, because you wouldn't be able to run wires, you wouldn't be able to run external wires. You'd have to run it underground, shooting the power underground, getting everything connected, wired up, so forth. He said in setting the light poles, you'd be looking at about a 1-year project.
You and I probably are both on the same page, so I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm hoping they're not doing this as a precursor towards adjusting massively Talladega schedule, because I like where we are. I like being end of April, early May. I like the fact that we're sitting in October in the fall. I think it's two great locations for Talladega to be. But, you know, when they lit Daytona, part of it was because of, and you know, doing the same thing with Atlanta, for example, or Charlotte. If you were going to run in the heat of the summertime, you wanted to be able to make sure that your fans didn't roast. Talladega fans used to roast. They used to be at Talladega in June, July, or late July, early August.
Wow.
The fans out there, they roasted in the summer heat. You know, they made sure that all the lights were really, really good before they put Atlanta back on the schedule in the summertime. And they made sure that that race was going to be at night, too. I'm hoping they're not saying we're going to move Talladega one race into the heat of summer, though. But that seems like a precursor.
I hope not either. But, you know, if they do, they do.
Yeah, we don't have much control over that, do we?
Yeah, if they do, they do. But, you know, I personally, I think it's something that's overdue for that place. Because when you look at it, the only tracks that don't have lighting systems is the road courses, Pocono, Michigan, Talladega, and New Hampshire.
Which New Hampshire is a little surprising. I got to admit, that wouldn't be too terrifically hard to light New Hampshire. I honestly, I don't know about the power grid infrastructure there, but I can say it wouldn't be terrifically hard to light it if they wanted to.
No,
but
I mean, they put lights in Martinsville and all places.
Exactly, and we made a big deal out of that when we talked about that in the last couple of years. And you and I, you mentioned Alabama, Bryant-Denny Stadium. You mentioned Auburn, Jordan-Hare Stadium. Both those stadiums upgraded their lights to the LED lights to the point where you can celebrate by having red or blue or orange or whatever it is that you're looking for as far as the colors. And a lot of colleges are doing that. This is another way, truth be told. LED lighting is a little bit less of a power suck, if you want to use that not necessarily official phrase, than traditional incandescent lights, for lack of a better, halogen lights or whatever. This is the perfect opportunity for them to make Talladega a showcase to where you can do all kinds of stuff with the lighting system, and it wouldn't be that hard to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. They have it in Martinsville, the LED system. They have the LED system in Wilkesboro. The LED system in Wilkesboro is great.
Yeah,
it's outstanding. Those are the only two tracks that I know of that they have the LEDs. So, LED system at a super speedway. This would be the showcase place here. Now, if they do something with the lights or something, whatever, it may be a recipe for an epileptic seizure. But you know,
well, maybe
I think it would be something good to try, or something good to do.
It's going to be interesting. We're kind of all waiting on pins and needles, especially because of our particular position. And I know everybody else who is, you know, full-time employees out of Talladega Super Speedway. We're all waiting on pins and needles. We can't wait to hear what this announcement's going to be. Hopefully it's going to be soon. Then we get to Kaulig Racing. And Kaulig Racing, as we noted, ended for now, at least, their Xfinity Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series program to work with the Ram brand, Stellantis, and bring the Ram brand back into NASCAR. And they're debuting with 5 trucks coming up on Friday night. Big time. You and I, we watched the last episode of Race for the Seat. So now we know all 5 seats. One of those trucks is a Star Truck. Okay, that's the one that Tony Stewart's going to run on Friday night. All the other 4 seats are going to be full-time. They're going at this with both barrels, and they're going to fire off. Well, Ty Norris, who is an executive with Kaulig Racing, he was on SiriusXM Satellite Radio's NASCAR channel on Monday. He confirmed pretty much what you and I suspected here at CrossedFlags and CRN, but we'll go ahead and put it out there anyway. Ty Norris confirmed, and this is the first time we've really heard anybody from Kaulig or anybody else mention this. confirmed, though, that should Stellantis decide that Dodge is going to go racing in either the Cup and or the Xfinity/O'Reilly Auto Parts series, I'm still getting used to it, Kaulig's all in, and they will go with them.
Makes too much sense. Way too much sense.
And I get that, but here's the situation that now I think it hamstrings them a little bit if it doesn't cut their Achilles tendon. He's now admitted that, and they still have to figure out some way to work with Chevrolet in the Cup Series. That, don't they? I mean, there's got to be some sort of give and take, doesn't there?
They're basically flying on their own right now in Cup because Chevrolet's already done cut their support with them.
So there's really no support there. And truth be told, they're not going to get any from Toyota. They're not going to get any from Ford. And the main reason why is because we've already now admitted, hey, if Dodge does come back, we're going with them. Why should we give you any support?
You know they're going.
And don't get me wrong, I have no doubt that they're going.
Truth be known, the Challenger Cup car model is probably already sitting in the R&D center in Concord.
Yeah, I mean, they do have to go through the approval process to make sure that it meets NASCAR regulations, blah, blah, blah. Plus, they've got an engine that they've got to make sure that they have that works within NASCAR's rules, unlike Craftsman Truck Series, which is the Ilmore engine. So there's some things that they need to do, which is why they're delayed a little bit. But until such a time as that brand right there officially announces that we're in and says, okay, we're going to debut at the Clash at Bowman Gray, I'll just presume that they're going to still be there, in 2028. Here comes Kaulig Racing and Ram, and they're going to go probably as, pardon the French if you're a younger child, but they're going to go balls to the wall, just like they did in the Truck Series. In the meantime, they've said, okay, it's 2028. You got to get through 2026 and 2027 with no factory support, like I said, from Chevrolet, which you're currently using. And you can't go to Ford because they're like, you're going to Dodge, we're not going to help. And Toyota's going to say the exact same thing. How bad does this affect Kaulig Racing this year and next?
I honestly don't think it's going to affect them too terribly much, because they've got a pretty solid notebook of information from last year that I'm sure is not going to change very, very much from one year to the next.
Despite the modifications to the Chevrolet body?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be much from an aero standpoint.
Okay.
But Tim Kuniskis and Ram and Dodge and everything, and Stellantis has already done said they're going to be, has made it clear they're going to financially help the Cup car as well. Because, I mean, I'll give you a prime example of what and why they're doing what they're doing. Because the race for the seat winner, Mini Tyrell, okay, he's running. He tested the ARCA test and got the approval to run the truck race, because the truck race is before the ARCA race. Like it was been the last few years. The truck race on Friday, ARCA race is running on Saturday.
Right.
So he's going to run the ARCA race and drive the car that his crew chief owns, which is a Chevrolet body car. All right. There was an image that come up on social media that was posted by Cook Racing Technologies team of them loading up, getting ready to go to Daytona. That car is wrapped and sponsored and funded by Ram Trucks. It is the Ram Trucks Chevrolet.
How much Chevrolet branding's on that car?
Just the nose piece.
Just the nose piece. That's what
just
I kind of
the nose piece.
This is going to be a fun thing to watch, truth be told.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, "Well, we've never seen, we haven't seen, other manufacturers sponsor stuff." Well, I've seen Volkswagen dealerships on a Chevrolet. I've seen Mercedes dealerships on a Ford on a Chevrolet. I've seen a Nissan dealership in Tennessee sponsor a Craftsman truck at Nashville. This is Chevrolet. CorvetteParts.net that used to be on Go Fast Car 32.
It's been on Fords and Toyotas.
Fords and Toyotas, you know. I mean, it's not uncommon. So I won't I won't be totally surprised if either on that 10 or that 16 or both of them at the same time at one race, that you see the Ram Trucks logos on that car.
Best bet, Dodge coming back 2027, 2028.
Best bet 28, outside shot 27.
They would have to announce that pretty soon, I would think, if 2027 is realistic.
I think you'll know if they're going to do 27. You'll know by the end of March.
Yeah, I was thinking they announced the Truck Series entry at Atlanta last year, and I was thinking right around then. Same thing.
Yeah, the Truck Series entry was actually announced in Michigan. They done the unveil in Michigan.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Michigan, I think, is too late this year for this.
Yeah, because the Cup program, the Cup car and the Cup program is so much more intensive.
Yeah.
And trucks.
Yeah, I think if they were going to go in 2027, we might see that. We might see that at Atlanta or an Atlantic type situation early on in the series. Okay, should be interesting. Had a little fun with that. And I know that it's a favorite of John, and truth be told, I like the Dodge look as well. And the fact that the two-door Challenger that just ended had kind of a retro look to it, and the Charger Challenger that we're going to get has another retro look, seemingly somewhat inspired by, if you remember, the Dukes of Hazzard, the old General Lee. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they do this and how well they perform. That's going to be the fun part of it. All right, so bold predictions time. We have done this for many, many years now, and some of them are ridiculously off the wall. And others, we kind of look at each other and go, actually, I see that as being possible. So we'll see how bold we get here. And we'll start off with that Craftsman Truck Series. And I'm going to go right where we just left off. Ram is going to waste very little time here. There are a lot of people that feel like they're going to undergo growing pains and have to get into it. I don't see this as a problem because the trucks, as opposed to O'Reilly Auto Parts or Cup Series, you're not starting from scratch and creating a new car, body, engine, all that. All you're doing is taking a Ford, Toyota, or Chevrolet entry, rip the body off, and not the whole body for that matter, and put the proper ram nose and tail onto it and the Ilmore engine in there. It's not that big of an adjustment. I'm going to say Ram wastes little time in finding victory lane, and I honestly think that one of those 4 full-time Ram drivers is going to hoist the Craftsman Truck Series title at the end of the year.
Mine is on the same lines of Ram as well.
Okay.
But it's not a Ram driver hoisting the title. The only one out of that roster that's full time that I could see doing that would be Justin Haley.
I got to admit,
I
don't looking right at him.
I don't see Daniel Dye doing it. Because he's going to be doing Xfinity and ARCA driving, of all things, driving Ford, but he's driving a Dodge and trucks. Go figure. Yeah. But mine is, and the reason I say this is because a guy I know in the Carolinas that I went and spotted a race with in Mid Ohio back in 23. He's now working for Colling, and I had just chatted with him the other day, and he said, dude, you would not believe, you wouldn't believe of what all that Dodge, Ram, everything that they're throwing into this entire program.
I imagine it's everything and the kitchen sink.
He said that, he said, and talking about Matt Collick, he said, Matt has had to spend very little money. Very little.
Wow.
He said Ram and Stellantis are, they're not pulling any punches. They're not holding any punches back.
And they shouldn't.
But for mine, it's a 25 race schedule.
Yes.
The Ram,
races, by the way.
the Ram Trucks brand, whoever it may be. There's 5 trucks this year.
Mhm.
The Ram Trucks brand will account for 33% of the scheduled wins.
Yeah. You and I believe you're probably right along in that same line that I am when it comes to that.
Which is a minimum 8 wins.
It'd be significant. And I like it. I like it a lot. O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. This one was a lot more difficult to me. But the one that sticks out to me is I look at the guy who has NASCAR's record in the top 3 series anyway of most second place finishes without claiming a win. His name, Sheldon Creed. This has been a constant for many, many years amongst just about anybody who does predictions. You'll find one person will say this, and I'm going to be the person who's going to say it for 2026. Sheldon Creed finally gets a win this year, but it's not going to happen until late in the year and probably at least 2, maybe 3 other second place finishes before he claims that win finally. I think the fact that they switched at Haas from Ford to Chevrolet makes enough of a difference for them because they're getting so much help and support from Hendrick Motorsports.
Yep. Mine is along the same lines of Haas, but it's not directly to them. Considering now that they have these two teams have an alliance and their cars are being prepped at Haas now, I will say Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Jeremy Clements, and Ryan Sieg all win a race this year out of the Haas shop.
Ooh, okay.
I'm keeping Kyle Sieg out of it because Kyle Sieg is a little bit too green for me right now still.
I agree. I could agree with that.
Ryan Sieg breaks through.
All right. Cup Series. We saw SVG dominate road course racing last year. Many people are expecting him to do it again. I'm calling for his own teammate, Connor Zilisch, to outdo SVG at the road courses this year and win more races than SVG at the road courses.
I'm 50-50 on that one because because I think back to that battle they had at Watkins Glen in the Xfinity race where everybody else was on the track in Watkins Glen and they were so far ahead they were trying to race in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay.
I mean, it may not be the boldest of predictions, but I kind of get the funny feeling that Connor Zilisch has a head on his shoulders that is much more mature than his chronological age would initially tell you.
I'm gonna do a piggyback off of what you just said. Connor Zilisch gets multiple wins this year, and Shane Van Gisbergen gets multiple wins this year, but it's not all the road courses. They both get an oval win apiece.
Okay. And a lot of people have been talking about the improvement of SVG at oval tracks, and we know Connor Zilisch can do it. Look at what he did last year in the what was then the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, but my overall prediction is when it comes chase time that Spire and Trackhouse will dethrone some of the bigger teams and have all 3 of their respective cars in the chase.
That'd be big. When you think about most of the predictions now talk about 3 Team Penske cars, 4 Joe Gibbs Racing cars, 4 Hendrick Motorsports cars. They're already ready to lock all those in and say 11 spots are taken. That would be big.
I mean, because when you look this morning from the practice times from this morning, in the top, Ross Chastain P2, Daniel Suarez P5, Connor Zilisch P17, Shane Van Gisbergen 38th, but he was strictly solo car runs. Okay. Carson Hocevar 29th. But it seems sneaky to me that you got to wonder what Michael McDowell's ace car Michael McDowell was holding because Michael McDowell didn't hit the track this morning.
Yeah, that is a question.
And he was a pole sitter at Talladega last October.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder, what are they holding?
Yep,
What car
I
do
agree.
they own? But I'm going to say Spire and Trackhouse take 6 of the 16 spots for the chase.
That'd be big. I like that bold prediction. All right. The other series that we cover, how about we talk about Formula One? You want to go Formula One next?
Sure.
Okay. I don't think anybody's going to be all that shocked that I'm going to look square at the Cadillac debut. There is a level that got set a decade ago when Haas F1 came into the series, and they broke out, opening up everybody's eyes by scoring championship points in not just the first race, but the first 2 races that they ever raced in Formula One. I'm not saying Cadillac's going to do that right out of the gate, but I am going to say this, and this is something that Haas F1 actually has yet to do. Cadillac, by the end of this year, their debut year, will have a podium finish, which means either a win, a second, or a third place finish. They will claim a podium finish, and they'll probably do it before Haas F1 does it.
I was gonna go something along those lines. I'm minus square at Cadillac as well.
I think all eyes are on them, truth be told.
Yeah, they are. But from the American-based team standpoint, Cadillac will win a race this year before Haas. They both win a race. But Cadillac wins first.
Okay, so that's actually might even be a bolder prediction, is the fact that you think both of them will win a race this year.
I think this year there's going to be more parity in F1 than there's ever been. With the car changing,
yeah,
just about almost everybody is on their own individual engine program, save from McLaren, Mercedes, and Alpine, and Ferrari, Haas, and
Cadillac. And if you are reading all of the initial stuff here, Ferrari has come out with something that may not have shown in the initial practice when they were in Spain, but should start to take effect very, very quickly. And that same engine package is going to Haas F1 and is going to Cadillac. So unless they just wildly miss it right off the bat, and I don't think Haas F1 will, I'm talking about Cadillac here, unless Cadillac just wildly misses it right off the bat and they have to play catch up from the get-go, I think they got the power plant to do it, and I think they can get the car to do it too, because they do have the drivers.
With the day one, they've already completed day one testing in Bahrain already. And right now, when you look at everybody that ran, the only ones that didn't run were Isaac Hadjar, Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, and Oliver Bearman.
Mm-hmm.
But Cadillac is Sergio Perez put up the 14th best time. Valtteri Bottas put up the 16th best time. Esteban Ocon was 4th.
Ooh, hello.
Lando Norris, they're still cooking.
Sure.
Max Verstappen in the new Ford stuff was 2nd. When you take away Esteban Ocon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of the top 7 was from the usual suspects of Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Red Bull.
Yep, not surprised by that. All right, Indycar comes next on my rundown of bold predictions, and we've been watching Alex Palou, speaking of McLaren, and that lawsuit finally got settled. I don't think that that's going to matter to Alex. It hasn't mattered over the last couple of years. Alex Palou has been dominant over the last couple of years. That dominance is set to end. And it's going to happen at the hands of Joseph Newgarden, who will once again find his dominance on the oval tracks, and that will launch him into claiming the championship this year, and this will be his 3rd.
I'm going to be in the Penske camp as well, but I'm looking at that 12 car. I'm going to say David Malukas is the wins leader this year in Penske.
Okay. All right. So we both think that Team Penske is going to have a strong year.
What we're David. This is David Malukas' breakout year.
Okay. NHRA, you got one?
Yes.
All right. Here's mine. Looking in the funny car section, Austin Prock, your two-time defending funny car division champion, is going to regret having left John Force Racing. His title run ends, and it will be a John Force Racing funny car that will be your title winner.
I could see that. I've got really a 1A and a 1B for NHRA. My
Okay.
1A is Tony and Leah face off in multiple final rounds this year,
Okay.
with Leah getting the best of him in win percentage.
You're probably right. And Tony might admit that too.
The 1B is that it will not be Josh Hart. It will not be Jack Beckman. It will not be Jordan Vandergriff, but it will be Alexis DeJoria that leads John Force Racing and wins this year.
I actually could see that. I could see that. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that much of a learning curve for her to be able to adjust fully and 100% into doing funny car. I don't think that'll be a problem for her.
And I'll even throw a 1C out there too.
Okay.
I can see, no pun intended, I think that this year there will be a funny car that breaks one of Brittany Force's speed records this year.
Which, okay. Think about the fact that Brittany Force ran Top Fuel. And you're predicting funny car will
funny car's not all that terribly far off.
It's not, but it still is something to really consider, considering the fact that when you look at the profile there, aerodynamically, obviously a Top Fuel car's got the better aerodynamics overall. But it, you know, we've talked about it and how the speeds, the estimated or elapsed time, I should say, is comparable. They're both sub 4 seconds when it comes to running from line to line. But you think about some of the records that Brittany Force has set to say that a funny car is going to break those. Yeah, you're stepping out on a limb there. I hope you didn't bring a saw. Just saying. I like that. I like that bold position.
Lamb is sturdy.
All right. IHRA. You have a prediction there? Here's mine. And this really took no time at all for Daryl Cuttle. Daryl Cuttle has made such inroads here that they're going to get a major television deal by the end of this season, ready to go for 2027. I'm not talking about some backwoods streaming service or some cable service that nobody's heard of. I'm talking about a major television deal that rivals what the NHRA has.
I can see that. And I can honestly see it being somebody like CBS.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Mine is going to be for NHRA the weekend of the Montgomery race in May, which is an off weekend for NHRA. The IHRA race in Montgomery in May, which is an off weekend for NHRA. There will be a minimum for each major class. There will be a minimum of 6 cars per class, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, that make the trek up from South Georgia to Montgomery to race with IHRA.
You and I talked.
It'd be full field to each one of them.
You and I talked about that on the ride up, and I think it was on the ride up to Charlotte last weekend. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's probably just the tip of the iceberg too. I think as the schedule allows, you'll see a lot more NHRA drivers running some IHRA events this year, which is only going to get bigger.
Which that in turn will put a, I guess you could call it, will put a staple and put the pin, drop the pin mark in Alabama for Nitro Drag Race.
Yes, hopefully it'll make the NHRA go, we've been missing them all these years. I realize that their season has already started. But I have a bold prediction in Formula E. How about you?
I do.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead and start.
The Yamaha ABT team will not score more than 5 points all year.
I could see that. Unfortunately for them, I could see that. I hate to say it. I'm looking at something else, and this is partially inspired by a news story that I saw earlier today. And I'll give you a preview of this because we're going to talk about it more on the big show on Saturday. In the fact that we're about ready to debut the next generation of the Formula E ride, which means the power gets upped once again. And because of that power being upped once again, Formula E CEO has said that he thinks that the time is ticking very, very low on London's Excel Center, because he doesn't think that indoor-outdoor course, hybrid course that they run there, as tight as it is going to be able to really house the cars that are bringing as much power as they're going to bring next year. I think this is going to be a trend. And I think as opposed to running so many street courses now, when they announce next year's schedule later on this year, probably May, more than likely June, and talk about next year's schedule, you will see at least as many dedicated road courses on the schedule as you do street courses, if not more biased towards the dedicated road courses.
I could see it.
And truth be told, thank God. I'm tired of trying to figure out all these stupid little race courses waiting around city streets. Go racing on a race course. There are shorter versions. You and I have talked about this. There are shorter versions. You go to COTA, and Formula One runs the long edition. NASCAR is now running a shorter edition. There are a shorter edition of where Formula E just ran in Miami, as opposed to the Formula One course, Formula E at around Hard Rock Stadium. It's a shorter course. All these road courses that we go to and we talk about and we know about, even Barber Motorsports Park has a different, shorter track available to them by just moving some barriers around. It ain't going to be that hard for Formula E to still be on a shorter course than their big brothers in Formula One, but go to some of the F1 tracks.
It won't. It won't be hard.
Okay.
I've even got one for ARCA too.
Okay, you go ARCA, then I'll go IROC, because I didn't do ARCA.
Yeah, I didn't do IROC either.
Okay, so you go ARCA.
I'm going to say that Garrett Mitchell, better known as Cletus McFarlane, he in his ARCA starts that he has tentatively planned, which is, I think there's 4.
Okay.
He wins Daytona. He wins Talladega. He has solid top 5 run at one of his intermediate starts, and that will help propel him to a Truck Series ride next year.
I was about to say, doesn't that launch him into a full-time ride somewhere?
Because with the spotter that he's got this year helping him, I don't see something like that not happening, because he has Joel Edmonds spotting for him. And Joel Edmonds was the spotter for Greg Biffle.
Ooh. Good call. I like it. We'll see whether that happens. IROC series. Ever since Ray Evernham got the rights to this particular series, he has done a very, very nice job of getting IROC series racers from all the generations, all the way back to its debut in the mid-1970s up till its last year in 2006. And he's done a great job of putting on exhibitions, even something of a quasi-race when they were out in California last year. They've got another exhibition coming up in the next couple of months at 10 Tenths in Charlotte, which, if you don't know where 10 Tenths is, technically it's right over next to Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord. You and I had the chance to kind of overlook it. It looks to be a very, very nice facility.
It is.
I'm thinking Ray Evernham has something working, because I find it hard to believe that he's going to continue just to be happy running exhibitions. The fact that he can do it, I think he will do it on a regular basis. But I think those exhibitions probably, and maybe even as soon as next year, are going to be exhibitions that will lead into a new car that he will introduce later on this year, and he will need to introduce quasi limits, probably 4 to 6 events, full competition events, all-star event for 2027 in a new car he's working on designing.
I could see something like that happening.
Going to be interesting to see. We need to wrap things up here. We've been going for quite a while, and I appreciate producer Don hanging out on that for us on behalf of Matt Nicholson, producer John, producer me, and everything else that's going on, including potential technical problems, which we apologize for. Thank you very much for watching this edition of Crossed Flags. We will come to you Saturday morning with the big show, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Won't you join us then? Until then, enjoy the racing.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.